Welcome, my friends, to the Quantum Shamans presented by Moshi, the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration, bringing you insights into the spiritual secrets of the mind and the universe around you. We are here to help you on your spiritual journey and path of healing. And now your hosts, David and Anthony.
Welcome to Quantum Shamans presented by Moshi. I'm Anthony.
And I'm David.
And today we are here with Julie. Julie, we've been waiting for you to come on here. We were so happy that you were able to get your schedule aligned and be here with us to share your energy, your life, your story, and I look forward to hearing everything.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Hello, Soul family, and hello to everybody who's watching.
We're happy that you're here. Before we get started, Dave, could you please do the thing?
Yes, I can do the thing. I'm just going to tell you a little about Moshi and our vision statement. The Ministry of Shamanic Healing aims to help individuals heal from spiritual maladies stored as energy in the subconscious that manifest in the form of trauma, PTSD, physical illness, mental health issues, and addiction. These practices include but are not limited to yoga, breathwork, meditation and mindfulness practices, Reiki, sweat lodge ceremonies, sensory deprivation, sacred plants, and any other rituals we collectively decide to establish. We hold ritual ceremonies for our community to heal collectively in a safe space, as well as individual ritual healing tailored to the members of our collective for the purpose of intensive inner work. Our most important responsibility is to help our members integrate their individual and collective experiences in order to ameliorate their spiritual maladies and spread love for the betterment of mankind. Our belief is that our collective consciousness is God. Every living organism has a purpose and is essential for homeostasis. From the single-cell organisms to the observable universe, we are all connected and equally important. We all deserve love, respect, peace, harmony, and forgiveness. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Love conquers all.
Indeed.
Wow, that was amazing. That was the best you've done it so far.
He's impressive, isn't he? I love it.
He's very impressive.
Good job. Good job, Paco Dave.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Julie, are you this guy's wife?
I am.
All right, cool. Tell us about that. Let's just start there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Being the Paco's wife is definitely a little bit of a different experience. When he started to get his downloads from the universe and talking about all the different things that he was feeling, I was like, what dimension is this guy living in? I felt like I was in reality and he was in a whole other world. And little did I know he truly was in another world, and I was about to learn more about it, and it's completely changed my life.
Cool. How long have you guys been married? Or how long have you guys been together even? Just go there. That makes more sense.
Yeah. It'll be 12 years in September.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So let's just start. It's kind of like an interview space. I just want you to talk about what you think is, a contribution to other people. Maybe let's tell people a little bit about you, where you came from. Who's Julie? Tell us about Julie.
Well, Julie is an ordinary woman who has had a lot of really extraordinary experiences. I grew up in a small town in western Pennsylvania called Sharon, and I grew up in a very standard working class type of family. My mom worked as a registered nurse at our local hospital, and my dad worked on the railroad for many years as a welder and a foreman. And for the first 10 years of my life, I would say, my life was pretty idyllic. We went on family vacations every year, and I had a great group of friends, family that lived close by, and things were, from my perspective, I was very loved and cared for, and things were coming along swimmingly. There are two events that happened right around the time I turned about 10 or 11 years old that not only shook the rest of the course of my life, but also challenged me on a spiritual, religious, interpersonal type of level. So when I was 10 years old, there were two things that had happened. The first thing being my mom's first attempt at suicide. After that, she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and after several very lengthy hospital stays, she was just a woman who was very tormented and was in and out of the hospital over the course of the next 17 years or so. And her being diagnosed as bipolar was definitely a challenge for my brother and I growing up. We loved her, and we knew that she loved us, but she was always tormented. She was always just holding herself up to a standard that really not very many people would be able to achieve. We lived in, even though it was modest, we lived in a very nice home. It was always spotless. She always had, dinners ready at, 6 or 6:30. She loved her career as a nurse, but she was always go, go, go. She never really invested in herself. She really never really invested in any sort of self-care type of regimen. And eventually, this would be something that would take a massive toll on both her and the rest of our family. And we lost her to suicide back in 2006. And that happening to me at the time that it did was a huge, huge wake-up call. So in 2006, I was married to a different person other than David. And
what?
I know.
What?
Shame, right? Yeah. So I was married to somebody else different at the time, and my then partner was a big time conspiracy theorist when it came to psychiatry, psychology, big pharma. And he essentially forbid me from seeking any sort of help. I wasn't able to go see a therapist or any sort of doctor. He absolutely was not on board with me taking any sort of psychiatric medication to help me through my grief. And I actually had to sneak behind his back to go and get help. There was a woman that I was working with at the time, and she would pick me up from my house. We were living in Strongsville at the time. She would pick me up from my house, and we would go to suicide loss support groups, and she would take me to these meetings and take me back home, and I would just tell my ex, we're going for ice cream, or we're going for a walk in the Metro Park, something like that. So that was the first event that kind of shook me. The second event was my parents' divorce right around 11 or 12 years old. And those two things happening right around the same time was really kind of cataclysmic in my life for a myriad of different ways. Obviously, I was, really struggling with feelings of abandonment. I mean, when you're a young kid like that, your parents are your whole entire life. Mm-hmm. So I was really thinking that, it was all going to be over soon. I wasn't going to have my family. My mother was going to die. Like, what is happening here? And it was a very, very stressful time. And from a spirituality point of view, the reason why my parents' divorce was also, very upsetting is because our church, we were basically kind of blackballed by them at the time. I grew up in a very devout Irish Catholic family, and we went to a Catholic church then. And, even though my mom was struggling with these various different types of emotional feelings, she wasn't able to get any sort of help from our parish. We had the double X, the double X on her chest in regards to, my parents getting a divorce. So her suicide attempt and the divorce combined at the same time was really something that caused our church to abandon us. And I begged my mom. I did not want to go to school or to catechism class anymore. And she eventually relented, and, I didn't have to go to, around here they call it PSR, but back where I grew up, they called it CCD. They had just pushed back the
confirmation.
Yeah,
or
the confirmation
communion
age. Yeah, in the diocese that we lived in at the time, from age 14 to, I believe, age 17. And I just did not want to go to those classes for another 3 years. I know this is going to surprise everybody, but I was a strange little kid.
What?
I was
Strange how?
I just had, because of everything happening at home, I had a lot of strange emotional outbursts at school. I was interested in different things that other girls weren't interested in. And, I was kind of, peculiar looking. I've been 5'9" since I was 11 years old. And I had these long, gangly arms and legs and just was funny looking. But because I got bullied at school a little bit, and, it was a small community that I lived in, and I got bullied again when we went to CCD. I just begged my mom, please don't make me go anymore. And eventually she did relent to that. So for many, many years, I kind of self-described myself as atheist, kind of / agnostic. Like, I didn't really want to rule out the fact that there was a higher power or a God or any sort of, spiritual wisdom out there for me. I just kind of shut that all out because I had been hurt so many times, when I was a young person, and all these, bad experiences. And I just thought, I'm a nice person. I'm a good person. So if there really is a God, why are these bad things happening to me? So, let's see. Going back to, I guess, the time when I was still married to my ex-husband, and I wasn't able to get really any sort of help during that period of time. So essentially what I did was I completely disassociated, because that was what I had to do to basically survive, that really tough experience. And after a few years, I finally said, I can't do this anymore. And eventually I split from that person. And I was very blessed right around that time to get a very good job. Anybody from Assurant who's watching right now, hello, how are you? I started to work for an organization called Assurant back in 2009. And honestly, getting that job completely saved my life. It didn't really pay too well in those early years, but I was finally able to get on health insurance and get the help that I needed to get myself into a more secure emotional state. And I was around people that had, healthy boundaries and, really solid working relationships with each other. And it really was a close-knit working family. And I truly appreciated that during that particular time. So I was able to grow and evolve as a person, stand on my own 2 feet. This was a long time ago, during the recession under Obama, and a lot of people were really struggling. And I was, thankful for the fact that I could, financially support myself. Not too long after that, I met this guy.
I came crashing in.
Yes, he truly did come crashing into my life.
Kool-Aid Man?
Yeah. And it was, in those early years, it was definitely a struggle. We were two very broken people who were trying to make our lives better. We were trying to heal ourselves as best we could, as best we knew how. And it's truly just been a learning experience ever since. I think one of the biggest things that I was doing during that particular time that really helped me grow and helped me at least start on the healing path to get over my mother's suicide was to throw myself into volunteerism. So
service to others.
Yes. I truly do believe that living a life of service is the highest form of gratitude.
I agree.
So during that particular time, I had aligned with an organization called the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And one of the things that I did for about 4 years prior to COVID is chair the Out of the Darkness Community Walk, which is an annual fundraiser that benefits the local chapter of AFSP. And I experienced so much personal and professional growth during that time. I was able to not only speak to other suicide survivors, which I hadn't really met too many of them up until that particular time, and I was also able to talk to other people who had suffered in the way that my mother did. And it just gave me so much perspective.
Yeah, understanding.
Yes, so much understanding. So that was incredibly beneficial for me. After that kind of phase of my life had sort of ended, COVID happened. And COVID was really what spurred on my awakening. It was really hard. You know, we had our own business before we had opened the Kava bar called Best Damn Tacos. And anyone out there who's watching who has, owned a small business either then or after COVID knows that it is incredibly hard to keep your doors open during a global pandemic, especially when the rules and the guidelines surrounding this epidemic or this pandemic were evolving and changing on a regular basis. And we lost a lot of money during that time. And I really saw that, gosh, our government and big business, they're not really looking out for the little guy.
Yeah.
So it was a really eye-opening experience for me, especially back then, because I had always kind of looked at everything through rose-colored glasses. And I finally realized that, our government doesn't really care much about us. So I started to, I don't want to say slip away into a terrible depression, but I started to ask myself questions about why. Why are all of these things happening? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel so lost? And I was always the type of person who had defined myself by my career path. This has been something that I have really struggled with essentially over the course of my entire adult life, because we're kind of conditioned to want to push ourselves, to want to, grow personally and professionally. And I was kind of on this hamster wheel of go, 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 when really I wasn't very happy in my career path. And I just thought there has to be more to life than this. Psychedelics kind of came into play around that time too.
How did that start for you? So that's good. That's just what I was going to ask you. So you're a great channel. I was like, we're going to talk about psychedelics next. Because I knew that's where we were going.
Yeah.
So how did it start? Did you have any prior psychedelic experience before this time?
No, I really haven't.
Okay, so then this time happened. So how did your psychedelic experiences happen, and how did it affect you?
So I guess I should preface this by saying I have always been a rule follower. I've never really been into drugs. I didn't even try cannabis for the first time until I was 36 years old. I even built my career path off of my distaste for any sort of quote unquote illegal drugs. I spent 13 years in the criminal background screening and drug testing industry. And it's just always kind of been in my mind that, drugs are bad, people that do drugs are bad, and this was, never going to be an issue for me. So I had tried cannabis before. That wasn't really anything that spoke to me. I think it's mostly because I've never really smoked cigarettes ever in my past. I just, didn't really resonate with me. I didn't really like it. Didn't like the smell. Didn't like the taste. How
about the feel?
Not really. At first, yes, I did feel some sort of sense of relaxation. I did feel some calmness, but there would always be like a jolting feeling later on down the road. I felt like a jolting feeling of anxiety or stress, or like something bad was about to happen. So because I was never really able to get past that anxious sort of feeling, when I did use cannabis, I just thought,
Because that's how the medicine works. It brings forward, it amplifies what's already there.
oh yeah.
So let's get rid of it. So, like your first interaction with cannabis, how scared were you before you smoked it? Like, because I'm picking that up from you. Like, wow, I had a lot of anxiety just even before I used it. Like, what was going through your head beforehand?
I mean,
Here I am using drugs. Yeah.
kind of like I was just kind of like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Like,
I see.
But I mean, there have been times where I did experience some level of enjoyment, some level of pain relief from it. So I think it's really great for that. But because I was never really able to get past that anxious sort of feeling, cannabis was never really anything that resonated with me. So right around age 40 was the first time I had tried psychedelics. And there were things that were happening in my life. I was, like I said, dissatisfied with my career path, and I just felt like,
I need a change.
yeah, I needed change.
Perfect.
I felt lost. I was asking myself and the universe a lot of questions. And the first time I had ever tried it was a combination of LSD and
MDMA.
yes. And it started out very fun and enjoyable. It was a emotional experience for both me and my husband together, and it was mostly fun. And but there was some very major healing that had taken place. So my parents, when I was growing up, they fought like cats and dogs. I mean, I used to make the joke that I think the only time my parents ever had sex was for my procreation. They never showed each other, much
Affection?
yeah, or anything like that. Just always fought a lot, especially when I was young. So I had a vision during this psychedelic experience where I was a baby in my bassinet, and my parents were standing over me in a warm embrace, and they were, looking at me. And that was so incredibly impactful because they had both been gone for several years at that point, and I was just like, wow, like I was, brought into this world with love, and that made me feel just so much better.
Right.
It was an amazing, amazing experience. We've had other experiences since then where we have, called in my divine masculine and feminine spirit guides, which I truly do believe are both of my parents. My dad, most recently, I had a wonderful experience when he came to visit me. I kept on seeing a lot of visions of horses, and I didn't really know what that meant. And we kind of looked through some, dream books together and kind of decided that meant freedom, that's what horses mean in the vision. So that was very amazing. And this last experience that I had just a few weeks ago, I really felt a lot of healing and release from, and that was with MDMA. And what made this experience so unbelievably tender and loving and caring was just the physical sensation that I felt. I felt like I was floating in the ocean, and with each wave, all of the resentment, the pain, the
heaviness.
The heaviness, I was just able to let everything just flow out of me, and the next wave I would just be filled up, engorged with so much love and care and affection and self-acceptance. It really was amazing. I mean, I kind of felt like somebody took like a scrub brush inside of my psyche and was like,
That means you've been doing the work. What have you been doing in between? So, the medicine is just a teacher. So when it shows up, you've been doing something or have experienced some things that changed your mind to be able to use the medicine in that way. Could you describe that?
Absolutely. So over the course of the last year or so, I've really just been incorporating different things into my practice that have been immensely beneficial for me. The first thing being yoga. I love yoga. I actually believe that my mom brought yoga into my life to help me heal, because the things that I was doing at the time weren't really helping me. Talk therapy can only get you so far, and there was still a missing piece that I wasn't really getting from those different things that I was doing at that particular time. And I've been practicing yoga since 2017, and it has had an amazing impact on my life.
Neurological flow.
Yes. And from the first time that I did it, having such an emotionally strong release, even that first time, I just knew, wow, this is something that I really want to incorporate into my life. There were stages and phases over the course of the last few years where I really didn't dedicate much time to my yoga practice, but the last year I have definitely invested more time into it. And I just recently signed up for yoga teacher training through Cultivate Yoga and Ashtanga Hub in Avon, Ohio.
Cool.
And I'm super excited to kick that off. That starts in about 6 weeks.
Moshi Yoga Master.
Yes, hopefully one day. Yeah, it's
coming.
It's a 200-hour program, so I'll be a yogi at your service very soon.
Love it.
So yoga has definitely been very beneficial for me, and I would be remiss if I did not mention Sacred Waters Kava Bar. David opening the Kava Bars has had a immensely positive impact on my life. The great thing that I love about the Kava Bar is that there are so many different types of people that come in here on a regular basis. And we're able to talk about things that have a strong impact on our life that are beneficial to other people. And nobody is going to look at you like you're a weirdo, like you're a crazy person. These are all, wonderful experiences that all tie together the human bond. And it's just been so wonderful. I had never heard of Kava or Kratom before he had opened the Kava Bar. But because I would prefer to have that versus a beer or a margarita or a cocktail, him opening the Kava Bars has basically allowed me to stop drinking. And it is so crazy to me how this evolution of eliminating alcohol from my life has had a positive impact on me all around. I am so much more vibrant. I am so much more in tune. I am so much more healthful and vital now that I don't drink alcohol anymore. I would so rather have kava or kratom versus a cocktail. And that is so amazing to me, because even though I never had a problem with alcohol, I definitely did use it as a crutch. And now that I'm not doing that anymore, I am able to feel my feelings. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Very good. Very good. And it don't always feel good when it starts.
No, it does not. No, it does not. So I'm more able to feel my feelings. And like I said, just eliminating alcohol from my life has just been amazing in 110 different ways.
Mm-hmm. If you notice, that's where your story's leading you. Your story's leading you into learning how to feel again, because you cut yourself off from feeling when you were a child because it was so strong and heavy.
Yes.
Cuts off a lot of that. So now you're setting yourself up, yoga, that's connecting into your nervous system, getting you connected to your body, which is a neurological function. Stepping away from alcohol, using these plant allies, kava, kratom, those kind of things, being around an environment of people who are changing and healing and growing, plus other things. What else have you incorporated? I know there's other things too.
there are a lot of other things. Breath work has been amazing for me. I had never really, of course, doing yoga, we do breath work exercises before, during, and after class. And I never really put much thought into how breathing in certain types of ways can have a positive impact on not only your mental health, but how you retain and store information, facts in your brain. And it wasn't until, I had a private session with you and Mary earlier this year, Anthony, where I finally realized, wow, there is something to this breathwork stuff. And this has been something, while not totally consistent, I've been a lot better with it over the course of the last couple months. But breathwork has had an amazing results for me. I just did my first cold plunge recently.
You aced it too, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you aced it. So did you, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, he totally did. He totally did. You were you were definitely letting go of some demons that day for sure.
Let's stop there for a second. Talk about that for a second. That's very interesting, by the way. Talk about your resistance to cold water and how that. What happened? What happened to you?
Yeah. When I was in college, I was in a snowstorm on my motorcycle for 3 hours because I didn't really have a choice in the matter. I had to get back to class and work and all that, and I got pretty bad hypothermia. I just sat on the couch under blankets and just shivered for hours and hours, and my body never reacted to cold the same way since. And spending 25 years in the kitchen, in a hot kitchen, my body's acclimated to hot, and so I had a huge resistance to cold. And that definitely, so I had a huge block there, and the cold water immersion definitely unblocked something in me. I'm looking forward to doing it again. We're actually going to do it again tomorrow. And yeah, I'm looking forward to further working on that.
Me too. I really want to cultivate this practice into my lifestyle. I mean, it was just so amazing to me when I did it. I felt the closest to source, my version of a higher power, Pachamama, Gaia, whatever you want to refer to it as, than I ever have in my entire life. Just experiencing that level of stillness was incredibly profound for me.
That big dopamine kick.
Totally.
250% rise in dopamine, sustained for 7 to 10 hours post immersion. 530% rise in norepinephrine.
I believe it.
Yeah, so it really changes everything. I've actually had, I think I've talked about this before, I've had several clients that I've worked with that suffered from severe depression, bipolar, things that required hospitalization for them.
Yeah.
And after introducing them, 1, to breath work, 2, to energy practices, and then 3, the cold water, they've recovered. They just let go because it's restructured the way that the brain chemistry is working. And so much so that one person, their family actually got freaked out and were like, we think something's wrong with you because you're not triggered anymore or afraid. And so they were actually worried and were trying to force her to be hospitalized. You should be in the hospital, we think, because it just ended. It was just over.
That's amazing.
Really amazing. Because anything's possible. In an instant, anything can change if you're open for that to happen. And a lot of people that have mental, emotional, what we call disease or problem is really just disorganized energy. And the energies, is that we can all say that because we've all been in spaces of disorganized energy that brings symptoms into our life. Fear, pain, all the things that we've suffered from that bring us here. And now we're doing these cool things that, wow, it really starts to change what's happening. And little by little, that just keeps growing. You keep growing more. It's knowledge into the body, which the practice then starts to cultivate the experience. And then that starts to yield wisdom, our true wisdom.
That's amazing.
We are amazing beings, no doubt about it. Yeah, all right, so you're saying breath work, you did some cold water immersion. Have you done any other cold water? Did you do any cold showers or anything since then, or has that just been its solo voyage?
it's been a solo voyage. I've tried to do the cold showers, but the combination of the pitter patter of the rain, of the water droplets, and the cold temperature, I'm just like, oh God, I can't do it.
I have to test out your shower. I'm telling. I think I should film one in there. As a matter of fact.
You should, yeah, you should.
Cool, we'll do that.
We'll do that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get like a bag of ice and throw it in the bathtub and fill it up with cold water.
You got a big giant bathtub, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. You could do in there.
A few bags.
Yeah, I would get 2 in there. 2, but at least 40 pounds. Put 40 pounds in. 80 would be the best. Because when I use like our outdoor tub, like at home, that's what I do. I usually get like 4 20-pound bags of ice and start with 80 pounds just for the 2 of us. But
oh, wow.
if you have a bunch of people, like how you guys saw, we need to come like 200 pounds because bodies melt ice.
Yes.
But I will tell you, compared to the temperature of where you start to when all the ice melts, whoever goes last gets the coldest bath. By far. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
because all that cold water,
One of the coldest ones.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Of course you did. You needed to. That's why I was like, you're going second to last. He's like, I am? I'm like, yes. And it was perfect. It was great.
Yeah.
You aced it. You aced it.
You did so good.
Yeah.
Proud of both of us.
I'm proud of all of you. Yeah, it's great.
Proud of you too, Anthony.
Thank you. I love that so much. What else? Is there any other practices, any other thing? People love to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They want to hear about like, all right, well, listen, I went through a whole bunch of shit and my life was shit and the way I thought was shit. And this is how I started to change it, right? So you mentioned a whole bunch of things. Mention some more things. What would you recommend or what works for you?
I mean, those things have all been amazing.
Like, did you do any mindset training or anything? Do you do mantra? Do you
I
do anything
on
to
mantras a couple of months ago on one of our medicine journeys.
repetitive words because you're retraining?
Yes, I'm really big on smudging. So every time I clean the house, I'll burn like Palo Santo or sage and just repeat a manifesting mantra that really speaks to me. If there's anything in my life that's feeling particularly heavy, I'll call to have it, released from the space. If there's anything that's particularly positive that I would like to happen, that I would like to manifest for our future, I'll do a deep dive into that, and it is helpful. There's been a lot of research on how saging your home has really great antimicrobial properties and is just really great for just cleansing the overall space from any sort of bad jujus.
Yeah. That's good. I like to smudge too.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Me too.
What about anything else? Do you do any that's what I was going to ask you. Do you have a particular, do you have anything you want to share as a particularly powerful words or mantra that you use?
There's a couple that I'll do on a pretty regular basis. One is really just the manifestation of self. It's I am enough. I do enough.
I have enough.
Yes.
I am enough. I have enough. I do enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that one.
That's it. I'll do that one a lot, and just call in good things from the universe, and just say, I know that abundance is waiting for me, and I am calling it into my space right now.
Good. That's sort of like a early energy practice is what it is. Do you do any energy practices or anything like that? Any energy work practices? Connecting with your energy field, anything like that?
I mean, I
know you live with a Paco, so you get to see some of these things.
I just recently started with some shamanic training through you, Anthony, and I am really excited because I feel like gaining some basic knowledge of what shamans do to help heal others will help me cultivate the energy that I have inside me. So I'm just
we
open.
don't heal
and ready.
others. We help them remember how to heal themselves.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's that too. Sometimes we have to show up as the shaman, though, for the one that doesn't know they can heal themselves yet. So sometimes we have to show up as the hero in the space to help them get past that hump. Then they can begin to understand, oh, I'm a lot more powerful than I realized. So that,
like that.
the shaman is a showman. That's really what it is. The shaman has to show up, and what we do is one of my favorite ways it's described is the shaman is one who walks the path of the master. And that master is you, mastering the self. You're walking the path of the master, walking the path of the masterful self. Another term for shaman is one who knows. That's a very common one. There's many ways. I mean, the real act of the shaman is to become a perfect absorber and radiator of energy. I have the ability to walk into a space, absorb its energy, no matter if it's heavy or light. And then what I can do is I can change it, move it, process it, and then radiate a new form of energy.
That is actually something that I would like to learn how to do. One of the negatives about being such an empathic person is a lot of times I will absorb or take in the heavy energy of others, and I don't necessarily know how to ground it. I want to be able to feed it to Pachamama. I don't really know how to do that yet.
It's coming. And you do, because I gave you the Saman Chikui exercise, so you have it.
Okay.
You're doing it already. You're doing that exercise is teaching you that primary flow of light through you. The hardest thing for early empaths is to understand that it's not so much the heavy energy of others that's causing your trigger, it's the unhealed parts of you. So when we pick up the heavy energy of someone else, it vibrates with the parts of us that are unhealed. Yeah. So when that happens to me, and I get triggered if I'm around someone and their energy triggers me in some sort of way, I don't blame it on them. It's me. I'm the one having the reaction. Okay. So then I look at it as, oh, wow, I'm being given a gift. So the person who's the most triggering in the world, like I don't find anyone too triggering to me anymore, but triggering people, I find them to be like heroes in a way, because they show me where I'm not free. They're actually my greatest teachers. And with that kind of mindset, all I see then is perfection. Then my ego mind doesn't judge that person or things like that, because that's normal. People who are early in their empathic ability, that is sensitivity, and you will pick up other people's energy. And some of it you will absorb because you don't know how to flow with it, get it to move, Sometimes it's not absorb, it's just observe. You don't have to you don't have to let anything in. That's the thing. And like the people think we live in a cutoff society where people are like, that's it, I don't like them, I'm going to cut them off. I'm like, well, listen, that's passive aggression. And what you're doing is actually putting heavy energy into your reality. Because the truth is your vibration will push away or make whatever doesn't belong with you just fall away and draw to you whatever means to be there. We don't need to create this chop action to chop shit off, because then all you're doing is you're negating yourself from learning what you need to learn. That's the ego mind saying, it's you, it's not me, I'm triggered because of you. Well, you can't be triggered, you have to choose to be triggered. It's the mind choosing to react through the trigger is what it is. So that's very common, and what helps is just like what you're learning, your spirit's guiding you right along the path, and now next thing you know, you're learning something about moving energy from the top of your body to the bottom of your body. Okay. Moving that through. So that is, you're learning the basic technique of how one grounds their energy. Moving, because otherwise you hold on to it. That's like you just said, I absorb it. If you absorb it, means it's sticking with you. Yes. Like I'm holding on to this because I don't know how to process it. The first thing is the for all of us is one, recognizing my trigger's mine. That's the hardest part. The mind hates saying that. It doesn't even want to. Yeah, I don't want to blame me for how I feel. Yeah. But I'm it. I'm the one. And then so that's the first step. And then the second step is one, it's mine. And since it's mine, that means I can do whatever I want with it. So then there's other techniques we learn later of how to even use heavy energy and break it down into its constituents that you can actually use. Okay. All right. Beautiful stuff.
And those people who or things that do not serve us just naturally shed away. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to avoid anything or anyone. It just, nature takes its course.
Yeah, it will steer itself.
Look at how our entire realities have changed in the last 8 months. Yes. Yeah. Everyone we interact with.
Yes.
It's wunderbar. No, I'm glad to see you in the shaman class. That's amazing. That's great. I know you have a great and beautiful gift within you. I can't wait to see how it evolves.
Me too.
Evolution. We're all evolving in a beautiful, beautiful way.
Man, if you would have told me 5 years ago I'd be doing any of this shit, I would have thought you were crazy.
Same. Yes, sir. Same. I'd be like, what? Give me my beer. Yeah, something like that. No doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, we're here to evolve is what it is. And that's why we have to have our story.
Yes.
Our story and the things that happen, those things all, need to happen so we
Yes.
can grow into where we're meant to be.
Yep.
It doesn't make it feel good. It's still going to feel bad. But what happens is the pain is always, that's inevitable. Pain is inevitable. Suffering's the choice.
Yes.
But we have to learn that. Like there's no way we know that. You don't just know that. You have to learn.
I have to learn that the
discover
hard way. I have to be beaten over the head with that same lesson 4, 5, 6 times for it to really sink in.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn.
I don't know anyone who really isn't too stubborn. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's a program. And the thing is the more I've realized that like the people that I work around and everything and all of us, we all have a certain form of neurodivergence that I'm totally aware of. I can feel that. It's the vibration that comes through things. And it's the differences in our nervous system that actually allow us to grow, be able to come into a space where we can accept new and complex ideologies to create new belief systems, to create new ways of being that serve us instead of hold us back. It's comfort is really what holds us back. We seek comfort.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking. We're even taught that. I remember being as a kid, my dad's like, you want to do this and do that and you can retire and do nothing. I'm like, what? Oh, how's that fun?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd never be bored. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the right idea.
Yeah.
I never really ascribed to that too much.
Yeah.
I'm not even a routine kind of person. I hate routine. I just
really?
No, yeah, I don't.
Oh.
I don't even drive home the same way. Like I go around the block a different way. Like no predictability because that's just mindless. Like I'm just doing the same thing. Like that's never been cool to me. I like to just actually deviate from the plan all the time. Try to make it different. Luckily, I have someone that helps keep me on schedule.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't think I'd end up anywhere on time ever.
You have a Mary, and one of the things that I recognized in your duo that is very similar to me and David, when I first met you guys, I was like, oh, that's it. David, I'm going to be your Mary.
Yanantin is what we call it in our tradition. That means complementary opposites.
Yes.
It's when energies can merge together, like separate two energies that are different. Already just being male and female, we're Yanantin. Being a couple, it's Yanantin.
Yeah.
And then just even like the energy differences, the ways that you guys are different is actually what makes you powerful because it's a wide spread of energy instead of the thing. That's why it's always, I'll hear even people come into these meetings sometimes. They're like, yeah, I just been looking for like-minded people. And I kind of giggle like, it's not like minds. You don't want like minds.
Yeah.
You don't want the same people thinking the exact same thing. You want a bunch of different ways of thinking that we're vibrating in a similar frequency.
That's really interesting because I have said that very same thing many times. Like, oh, I'm happy to be here because it's just so great meeting like-minded people. But our strength is in our diversity. You are 100% right.
Yeah, and when you realize that, like, nobody in this room is thinking the same.
Yep.
Like that was the best part.
Yeah.
Is like, when I'm sit here and I can feel all that, like I can feel, hey, everybody's got a different way they're seeing this. Like, because it's true. Each one of us is totally observing a different reality than the next. We're all like, the way I like to describe it is like, the body is the universe or God. And each one of us is like a finger on the hand of God, except there's like, 8 billion of them. So each finger is having its own experience. Like you're taking your hand, you put it on your leg. Each finger is having its own experience, but not separate from the one. So that makes sense. So no wonder why there's so many of us.
It's really beautiful. I never thought about it like that.
We broke ourselves into 8 billion pieces so we can experience everything.
Yeah, as much as possible. Because
All
otherwise,
that information is in the quantum field, so we have access to all of that.
because we're creation itself. That's really what it is. And if you think about it, like here, if you created this reality and you wanted to experience, what would be the best way to experience it from as many angles as possible? That would be the deepest form of learning. Is what it would be, because we're here to learn. That's what. There's no joke about that. This place is all a space of learning. And then what would be the best way to learn? Is employ all of your brain cells. Put them all out. So each one of us, that's how I understand this reality. Long before I became a shaman, just my natural connection, my natural shamanic connection to source was showing me that this is a neural network. Each one of us is like a neuron in the brain system of God or creator, and each one of us is having an experience. And as we grow, what happens is we learn how to relate and connect our experiences and learn from each other. Like if everyone learns the story Julie has, this is what I did, this is what happened, so I can relate to her. Right? And then we start to teach each other. We're all teaching each other. I learn things from you. I learn things from Dave. We're all kind of learning in a neural fashion. And what that does, it creates coherence. It all starts to, like, it showed it to me almost like it was like this whole thing, all humanity, is like one brain that has had a traumatic brain injury or a stroke. And it's just non-coherent. It's not that it's broken, it just is out of whack. And what happens is we eat, and the thing is we're almost taught, people are like, I got to change the world. I think it's everything outside of them. Well, the world is you. Like, I saw somebody the other day, like, you'll never hear me talk about evil because I don't believe in it. That's a mind-created thing. But I'll sink into the language to help someone else. The person was saying about there's so much evil in the world and this and that about the evil in the world and about trying to change it. And I have to point out that happens within. For if there's evil in you, there's evil in your world. So within, so without, as above, so below. Everything's a copy, a mirror of itself. So that's the thing. And the ego loves to overlook that part and blame everything outside. Because people say, people. Do you realize you're people? Coming into that awareness, like, it's always this external blame. We live in a world that people are focused. We have governments built on blame.
Yes.
It's your fault, your fault, your fault. I like to work, and I'll do a lot of work in couples therapy and like married couples, and they'll come in and I'll say, okay, what's going on? And basically I sit there and I watch them each take turns blaming each other for what the problem is. Your fault, your fault, your fault. And after they get to a certain point, I say, okay, very good. And I reach my hands out and I'd be like, see all this blame? It's mine. And you can't have it anymore. So now what do we do? And they sit there and stare at each other. I get it. Yeah, see, it doesn't matter. Blame doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. All we do is, the best thing is to figure out, well, what can we do to make this better?
Yeah.
I don't care whose fault it is. What does that do? It's your fault. It's your fault it's like this. It's my fault that you feel this way? I don't know. Yeah. But you can always, I always tell people it's always very powerful. I'll take all the blame for everything in the world that you think is wrong. It's my fault. Now what do we do? See, changes everything. It's this mind game. We've been playing this mind game in our whole life this way, blaming, because it makes us feel better if it's not my fault that I feel this way.
You can do the same thing with forgiveness.
How so? Expand on that, David.
Well, since I am you and you're holding on to something you can't forgive yourself for, I forgive you because I am you, so you don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel so much better now. You're good at that. Yeah. Forgiveness is a powerful thing. I mean, it's a frequency of
Somebody
consciousness.
can't do it, you can do it for them.
Sometimes. If they're open, if they let you. If they'll let you have it, you can take it for sure. Just like pain, just like, I do physical pain healings, and people say, is that magic? I'm like, no, it's science. It's nature. If the person's allowing for you to do it, our energetic capabilities are, we don't even know what's happening. Everybody has energetic capability. You don't got to be a shaman and have training. The shamanic training is training you how to use that energy in your favor, to walk the way of the master of your energy. Everybody's using energy all the time. They're just unaware in their words and their actions and everything they do all the time. Energy. Pure energy. So where's Julie at now? How's what would you describe? How did your life?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. I feel like we did really good. Like you're just, the way it flowed through you is, I'm not surprised. I've already listened to you articulate your story, and we were all impressed too when the last time. Like,
I appreciate that. One of the great things about all of the mental health outreach that I did a few years ago was becoming more comfortable with sharing my story in a responsible way. It's really important when you're talking about themes of mental illness and suicide to talk about it in a way that is not only respectful to the person who passed away, but make sure you explain it in a way that's not triggering to others, that's not too graphic. So I feel like I've been able to come up with a language that best personifies my experience and hopefully is meaningful to others.
I think it is. I feel it come through you.
Thank you.
I feel the beauty of life come through you, and I appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
It's
She's a fairy.
Indeed. You are a fairy. Fey being. I can smell your blood. Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question. I ask this question often. If you had one message, and I don't want you to answer it right away, I want you to sit with it while me and Dave kind of do the commercials.
Okay.
Okay. But the question is, if you could deliver one message to the world, a message, if this was the platform where you could deliver to what to you would be the most important message you could deliver to the world, what would it be? Okay. So I want you to do is I just want you to relax for a minute. I want you to close your eyes. And you know how it goes. You know I'm going to tell you to breathe. Take your breath. Let yourself just drop into your breath. I want you just to relax. I don't want you to look for the answer. I want you to let the question be there. The question, what's my message to the world? Don't think. Feel. Feel about it. And while you feel about it, Dave.
Yes. Come check out moshilove.org. It's our website. We have a lot of good information on there, links to some of our podcasts, and one of our board members is a documentary filmmaker, so he's got a couple of his documentaries on there that are very pertinent to all of this subject matter. Also, our membership link. We're trying to create abundance in order to get this space to open our first healing center, as we've been talking about week in and week out. And,
It's coming.
We can't do it without you. We need your help.
Yeah. Together we create miracles. And so shout out to Mo Taylor at Brain Dagger Films.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely if you can, if you're local, come and check out Integration. We call them integration meetings, integration circle service. And what they do, so people are like, well, what do you guys do there? So what we typically do is we come here, right here in this space here. It's like a living room, a big like family room in here. And everybody just kind of gathers. It's at 1:30. We usually get talking about 2 because, people show up when they need to. And then we'll usually open the floor. Dave will usually talk about the Moshi vision statements, a couple other things, and then we'll just open the floor to share experiences. And this creates a cool place for us to talk about our metaphysical experiences, our spiritual experiences, our emotional experiences, our psychedelic experiences, the things that most people don't have a lot of people in their lives to talk to about these things. So it's very therapeutic, very healing. I've been to many of these, and I'm going to be to so many more, and I feel like there's such value in them, in the communication. I see friendships being made, bonds being made between people. And then also, as Dave's talking about, we're early trying to get people to become members, to have a membership to Moshi, because we're starting to do Moshi events now. And our first one actually is Saturday the 29th. This probably won't be out by then, but it's just as an example. We're going to be doing more and more like healing circles, getting people together to do like group events, things together, like spiritually minded group events where we come together to do things. But I'm sure we'll be talking about the healing circle after we do it, but those are amazing things for us to come together. And as we evolve and get more members and everything, there'll be perks and things with membership and everything that's happening. What you want to do is you want to show up early, and just what you're doing is you're kind of spiking the ball in the end zone, and you're getting to work with us. You're putting it down with us, because I'm not asking everyone in the world to do what I'm doing and other people are doing, dedicating our lives to creating systemic healing. Maybe that's not where you're at yet, and that's okay. But maybe you just want to help a little bit. Well, you can help us. You can definitely help us. And you can even just make a donation. If you can make a donation, that's great. A little bit goes a long way. We're here to help each other and do everything we can. Check out moshilove.org. What else, Dave? What's this place?
Come check out Sacred Waters. This is the North Olmsted location that we shoot from every week, and we also have a Lakewood location. Wonderful community, not based around alcohol. So it's a very unique social setting. Meet a lot of great people and make a lot of great friends and heal.
Heal.
The place for healing and hope. And then check out thepositivepineapple.org for one of their many events all across town, including here at Sacred Waters. We have one tonight. breath work, meditation, and sound bath. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you. Anything else you want to share?
Back over to you. Yeah. So you can check us out here, the Positive Pineapple. We're doing 2 events here a month right now. So different times or different days. You can check those out. They're really fun. Also, you can check out thepositivepineapple.org, our website. I'm offering now the beginnings of shamanic training. So if you're interested in learning more about your energy, about the way of the shaman, about ways to heal yourself, others, and the community, I extend an invitation to you. If that calls to you, then I'm here to help you. I want to lend my support and love to whoever is ready to expand to the deepest parts of themselves, and we can create a more beautiful world through love, connection, spirituality, and community. How cool is that?
Beautiful.
Wonderful. So, Julie, you've had a little bit of time now to percolate and sit with that question. So what's the answer? I'll just open the question again in case anybody forgot what it is. Julie, if you had one message for the world, what would be your words? What would be your message for the world?
I would say you are not the sum of what has happened to you.
I love that.
I feel like people use their trauma as a badge of honor. I know I certainly did. And it kind of became my identity. I was, the girls whose mother passed away by suicide.
Yeah.
And I reached a point in my life where I was like, you know what, there are so many wonderful things about me that doesn't have to be my entire identity. And that is when I truly began to start on the healing process.
It's beautiful. I'm glad to be here on this healing process with you, Julie. Thank you. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic reality in which we're all manifesting, and I am so excited and so happy to be here.
I appreciate you. You've actually been a big part of it. So
Thank you so much. Thanks. I like to be that as you're part of mine. All of us are. Everything's interdependent. The way my mind and the way my understanding is. We're trained in a world to become independent.
Yes.
But you're never independent because you're dependent on food and water and sun, and you need all these things. You're never actually independent. That's an idea of the fallen ego mind. It's actually through our loving interdependence that we can create such a more beautiful space and together. And we're doing that. Yeah. We're doing it. It makes me so excited, so happy. It's awesome. Julie Dahl, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here on the show with us.
Thank you.
We are honored and we are grateful that you've come here and shared your loving energy, and I'm sure it's going to touch some people.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Love you.
Check us out. We love you all so much. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been the Quantum Shamans presented by Moshe with David and Anthony. We look forward to seeing you next week for more insight into who you are and your place in the universe.